They remembered us as myths until Earth. Soldiers ignited the battlefield. The alarm screamed in my ears before I even opened my eyes. Red light flooded the narrow sleeping pod, and my heart slammed against my ribs like it was trying to break free. I rolled out of the bunk and hit the cold metal floor hard, already reaching for my rifle. The ship was shaking. Something was hitting us, and it was hitting us hard. My name is Kalen Vore, and I am a soldier from Earth. I was sleeping on a warship called the Hope of Velter when the enemy found us. That was 30 seconds ago. Now I was running down a hole full of panicked alien crew members, trying to reach my battle station before the whole ship came apart around me. I pushed past a tall blue creature with 4 arms who was frozen in fear. His name was Zethka, and he was supposed to be our squad engineer. I grabbed his shoulder and shook him hard. His big black eyes finally focused on my face. "Move," I told him now. He nodded and followed me. Behind us, a section of the wall exploded inward. Hot air rushed past my face, and I felt small pieces of metal cut my cheek. I did not stop running. I had learned long ago that stopping was how you ended up dead. The coalition of species I served with had found my planet only 2 years before. For 2,000 years, they believed Earth was gone. They thought humans had been wiped out in a great war long ago. To them, we were ghosts. We were old stories that mothers told their children to make them go to sleep. They called us the Burning Ones, the Skywalkers, the warriors who would not stay dead. When their scout ships finally landed on Earth and saw us alive, they did not know what to do. Some wanted to run. Some wanted to make peace. A few wanted to attack before we could grow strong again. In the end, they chose peace because they needed us. A new enemy had come, and they were losing. That enemy was called the Virks. They were machines that thought together like one giant mind. They did not sleep. They did not feel pain. They did not stop. And worst of all, they were the same enemy that had almost destroyed Earth 2,000 years ago. Our ancestors had fought them and survived. We remembered them. The coalition did not. I reached the weapons deck just as another blast rocked the ship. I grabbed my combat suit from the wall and pulled it on as fast as I could. Zethka was doing the same beside me. A small, glowing creature named Lumi floated into the room. She was our squad medic, and her light skin turned pink when she was afraid. Right now she looked almost red. "Where is the commander?" I asked her. She shook her head. "He is on the bridge. He says we're going to the surface. The planet below us is under attack." I closed my eyes for 1 second, just one. Then I opened them and finished locking my armor. I had dropped onto planets during battles before. I knew what was waiting for us down there. The Virks would already have landed. They would already be killing everything they found, and we would have to push through them to save anyone still alive. The ship shook again, harder this time. A voice came over the speakers. It was our commander, a tall gray alien named Orin. His voice was calm, too calm. That was his way. He had never seen real war before, not like I had. "All ground teams report to the drop pods," he said. "We land in 3 minutes. Good luck." I ran with Zethka and Lumi toward the pods. The hallways were full of soldiers. Now, most of them from different worlds. Some had feathers, some had scales, some had skin that looked like stone. I was the only human on the ship, the Only one from Earth. I had been sent. Alone to learn their ways and to help them fight. Now I was going to show them what a human could really do. We reached the drop pods and climbed. Inside, mine was a small metal ball with one seat and a thick window. I strapped in and checked my rifle one more time. Zethka was in the pod next to mine, and Lumi was across from me. I could see her. Through the glass, she gave me a small wave. I nodded back. The countdown started. 10 seconds, 9, 8. I thought about my grandfather who had been a soldier too. He used to tell me stories about the old wars on Earth, the ones that made us strong. He said that fear was not our enemy, fear was our friend. Fear told us what was important. Fear kept us alive, but we could not let fear rule us. We had to use it like a tool. 3, 2, 1. The pod shot out of the ship like a stone from a sling. My body pressed hard against the seat. Through the window I saw the ship above me getting smaller and smaller. It was burning in 3 places. Pieces of it were falling away. I saw 2 other pods get hit by enemy fire and break apart. I did not look away. I could not help them. All I could do was keep going. The planet grew bigger below me. It was called HFY 9, and it used to be a peaceful world. Now it was covered in smoke. I could see fires burning in the cities. I could see enemy ships moving across the sky like black birds. My pod began to shake as we hit the air. The outside turned orange, then yellow, then white. The heat was amazing, but my suit kept me safe. Then the landing rockets fired and the pod slowed down hard. My teeth almost cracked from the force. A moment later, I hit the ground. The pod door blew open, and I rolled out onto dirt. The world was on fire. I saw buildings broken in half. I saw trees burning. I saw coalition soldiers running in every direction, and I saw the enemy chasing them. The Vyarks looked like tall metal spiders with long arms and glowing red eyes. They moved fast. They did not stop. One of them was only 20 steps away from me, and it was looking right at me. I raised my rifle and fired. My shots hit it in the chest, but it kept coming. I fired again, this time at the glowing red eye. The light went out and the machine fell forward onto the ground. Zethka landed beside me a moment later. He looked at the dead machine, then at me. His forearms were shaking. "You killed it," he said, "just like that." "There are more coming," I told him. "Get ready." Lumi landed last, and her light was very dim now. I pulled her up and made sure she was not hurt. Around us, the battle was getting worse. The coalition soldiers were losing. I could see it in their faces. They were brave, but they had never fought an enemy like this before. They did not know what to do. I did. I knew exactly what to do. "Listen to me," I said to my squad. "We are going to live through this, but you have to trust me. Can you trust me?" Zethka nodded. Lumi nodded, though her light stayed dim. I pointed to a broken building near us. "We go there first. We take cover. We find out how many of them are here. Then we start hunting them." "Hunting them?" Zethka repeated. His voice was full of fear, but also something back. I kicked open the door of the broken building, and we went inside. The real fight was just beginning. The inside of the building was dark and full of dust. I could hear something moving on the floor above us. I held up my hand, and Zethka and Lumi stopped. Behind me, I listened carefully. Footsteps, heavy ones, metal on stone. It was a Virk's drone, and it was hunting. I pointed up, then to my ear, then held up one finger. Zethka understood. He pulled out a small tool from his belt and began to set it on the floor. It was a sound maker. It would make noise somewhere else and pull the enemy away from us. I was impressed. Maybe my squad was not as green as I thought. We moved to the back of the room while the tool began to click. The footsteps above us stopped, then started again, moving toward the sound. When the drone climbed down the stairs and past us, I saw it clearly for the first time. It was tall, almost as tall as the ceiling. Its head was small and round with 3 red eyes spread across it. Its arms ended in long blades that looked sharp, enough to cut through stone. I waited until it walked past me, then I stepped out behind it, raised my rifle, and fired 3 shots into the back of its head. The drone fell forward and crashed into the wall. It did not get up. Lumi came out from her hiding spot. Her light was a little brighter now, I think. Seeing the enemy fall helped her feel less afraid. How did you know to shoot it in the back of the head? She asked. I pointed at the body. The front of its head has thick metal, the back is thinner. The power lines run close to the skin there. One good shot breaks the connection and the whole machine shuts down. Zethka stared at me with wide eyes. How do you know this? I smiled a little. We fought these things before a long time ago. Our grandfathers wrote it all down so we would remember. That was the first real lesson I gave my squad. It would not be the last. We moved through the broken city for the next 2 hours, always staying close to walls, always checking our corners. I found 3 more drones along the way. Each time I took them down the same way. By the 3rd one, Zethka was beginning to understand. He started pointing out places where enemies might hide before I did. Lumi began to move faster and stay quieter. They were learning. The sun was starting to go down when we reached the main coalition camp, or what was left of it. The camp had once been a safe place with walls and guns and hundreds of soldiers. Now it was a mess of broken tents and burning vehicles. Few dozen soldiers were still alive, hiding behind what was left of the walls. Their leader was a short officer with green skin. He saw me coming and his face changed. A human, he said. They actually sent a human. They sent me. I told him, where is your defense line? He laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. Defense line? There is no line anymore. They came at us from every direction at once. We have maybe 50 soldiers left. We are going to die here tonight. I looked around the camp. I counted the soldiers, the weapons, the walls that were still standing. My brain began to work fast the way it always did in a fight. I saw things other people missed. I saw the high ground to the north that no one was using. I saw the narrow street to the east that could be blocked with just a few trucks. I saw the river to the south that would slow down the enemy machines. You are not going to die tonight, I told the officer. He looked at me like I was crazy. I called my squad over. Zethka, I said, I need you to move those 3 trucks into the east street, block it completely, then set up sound makers on the other side to draw the enemy in. Lumi, take the wounded into the lowest part of that building over there. The walls are thickest there. They will be safer. What about you? Lumi asked. I am going to the North Hill with 10 of the best shooters in this camp. We will have the high ground and the long guns. When the enemy comes, we will hit them from above while the East Street holds them in place. The green officer was staring at me now. You think this will work? I think it is better than standing here waiting to die, I said. He nodded slowly, then he turned to his soldiers and began to give orders. Camp started to move for the first time. Since the attack began, these soldiers had a plan, they had hope. I climbed to the top of the North Hill with 10 shooters behind me. From up there I could see the whole city. I could see where the enemy was gathering. There were a lot of them, hundreds, maybe more, but they were not being smart. They were all coming from one direction, marching straight at the camp, like they thought nothing could stop them. That was their weakness. Virks were strong, but they were not wise. They did not change their plans. They did not think like humans did. The sun went down and the night came. I lay on my stomach at the top of the hill, my rifle ready. The shooters beside me were from 5 different worlds. None of them had ever fought in the dark before. Their eyes were not made for it, but mine were. My grandfather had trained me to shoot in the dark when I was 12 years old. I used a special scope on my rifle to see in the low light. I watched as the first wave of Virks drones came down the main street toward the camp. They walked in perfect lines. They were not even trying to hide. I waited. I let them get closer. I let them get all the way to the East Street where Zethka had set up his trap. Then the sound makers on the far side of the block street started to click and beep. The drones heard the noise and turned toward it. They began to push against the trucks, trying to get through. That was when I fired my first shot. The lead drone fell. The ones behind it did not understand at first. They kept pushing. I fired again. Another one fell. Then I told the shooters next to me to begin. 10 rifles opened up at once. Flashes of light lit up the hill. The drones began to turn, looking for where the shots were coming from, but by the time they found us, they had lost 20 of their number, and still they could not get past the trucks. Zethka came on the radio. It is working, he said. They are stuck. Keep the sound makers going, I told him. Make them think there is a whole army on the other side. For the next hour we killed Virks drones by the dozens. They kept coming, and we kept firing. The green officer radioed me once to ask if I needed more shooters. I told him to hold his people in reserve. The trap was working. Changing it now would only ruin it. Then, just when I thought we were winning, everything changed. A new sound came from the west, a low, deep sound like thunder that did not stop. I turned and looked. In the distance, moving through the broken city, was something much bigger than a drone. It was the size of a house. It walked on 6 legs and its body glowed with strange red lights. I had seen pictures of these before in my grandfather's old books. It was a heavy walker, a war machine built for one job, which was to break through any defense the enemy put up. I felt fear crawl up my spine. I pushed it down. Fear was a tool I would use it. Zethka, I said into the radio, pull your people back from the East Street right now. Why? He asked. Because we have a new problem, a big one. Get everyone back to the main camp. The walker crashed through a small building as if it were made of paper. It was heading straight for us. Its cannon began to glow, and I knew what was coming. Next, I shouted at the shooters beside me to move. We slid down the back of the hill just as a blast of red energy hit. The whole hill shook, rocks flew everywhere. One of my shooters, a young soldier with silver skin, was not fast enough. I saw him fall. I did not have time to go back for him. We reached the bottom of the hill and ran toward the camp. The walker was close behind us, crushing trees as it came. My mind was racing. How do you stop a machine that big? Not with rifles, not with the weapons we had. But then I remembered something else. My grandfather had told me, every big machine has a weak spot. You just have to find it, and you have to be brave enough to get close. I had an idea. It was a bad idea. It was maybe the worst idea I had ever had, but it was the only one I had. Zethka, I said into my radio, meet me at the camp. Bring all the explosives you have left and bring a rope. A rope, he said. What for? You will see, just bring it. Behind me, the walker let out another blast. The sound was so loud it hurt my ears. I ran faster. The camp was only a few hundred steps away. The green officer and his soldiers were watching me run toward them with the monster coming up fast behind. They raised their guns. I waved my hands. Do not shoot, I shouted. You cannot hurt it. Save your bullets. I reached the camp and slid to a stop. Zethka was already there with a bag of explosives and a long coil of rope. Lumi was with him. Her face was full of worry. What are you going to do? She asked. I looked at the walker. It was maybe 200 steps away, now coming closer every second. I looked at the rope. I looked at the explosives. I thought about my grandfather and about all the soldiers before him who had done things that seemed impossible because they had to be done. I am going to climb that thing, I said, and I am going to put these bombs inside it, and then I am going to jump off before they go off. Zethka stared at me. That is crazy. Yes, I said, it is, but it is going to work. I grabbed the bag and the rope, and I ran toward the walker. I did not look back. If I looked back, I might lose my nerve, and a soldier who loses his nerve is already dead. The walker was even bigger up close. Its legs were thicker than tree trunks, and each one ended in a clawed foot that could crush a vehicle flat. I ran to the left of it, staying low, moving fast. The walker did not see me at first. Its eyes were on the camp, looking for bigger targets. I was small and low and quick, 3 things the Vurax did not expect from their enemies. I reached the back left leg and threw the rope up toward a piece of metal sticking out of the side. On the first try, it missed and fell back down. Walker took a step forward, almost stepping on me. I rolled out of the way just in time. My ears were ringing from the sound of its foot hitting the ground. Dirt filled my mouth. I spat it out and tried again. The second throw caught. I pulled hard to make sure the rope was tight, and then I began to climb. My arms burned. My hands shook. The walker was moving, and each step made me swing back and forth like a child on a rope swing, but I did not let go. My grandfather had made me climb ropes when I was a boy, over and over until my hands bled. He said that one day I would need to climb something important, and I would not have time to learn then. He was right. I reached the middle of the walker's body and climbed up onto a flat section between 2 of its legs. From here I could see the whole battlefield below me. The camp was under fire from the last of the drones, but my plan at the East Street had worked. The enemy numbers were much smaller now. If I could just take out this walker, the coalition soldiers might actually win. I opened my bag and took out the first explosive. It was about the size of my fist with a small timer on top. I looked for a place to put it. I needed to find the power core, the place where the walker kept its energy, on the old drawings my grandfather had shown me. The core was always in the middle of the body under a hatch. I crawled forward, looking for it. The walker fired its cannon again. The kick of it almost threw me off. I grabbed onto a pipe and held tight. When the shaking stopped, I kept moving, and then I saw it. A round hatch, maybe the size of a dinner plate, right in the middle of the walker's back. Red light was coming from the edges of it. I pulled out a tool from my belt and began to work on the hatch. It was not locked, thank goodness. The Vierks did not think anyone would ever get this close. Why would they? They were the strongest machines in the galaxy. No one climbed on top of them. No one was crazy enough, except a human with a rope and some bombs, and a grandfather who had taught him well. The hatch came off and I looked down. Inside, there it was, the power core. Ball of red light spinning in the middle of a network of wires and tubes. I set the first explosive on the edge of the hatch and started the timer, 30 seconds. Then I placed a second one next to it, and a third. The whole bag, all 5 bombs. I set them all together in a perfect circle around the core. 90 seconds total. That was how long I had. I began to climb back down. The walker was taking another step and I almost lost my grip. I held on and kept moving. Below me, I could see the ground far away. If I jumped now, I would break my legs, maybe worse. I had to keep going. Then the walker did something unexpected. It stopped. Its head turned slowly and one of its red eyes looked right at me. It had finally seen me. The arm nearest to me began to move. It raised up toward my body. I knew I had about 2 seconds before it grabbed me and crushed me. I did the only thing I could do. I jumped. The air rushed past my face as I fell. The ground was coming up too fast. I pulled at my belt and activated the small emergency system all Earth soldiers carry. A small parachute opened above me, slowing my fall just enough. I hit the ground hard, rolled 3 times, and came to stop in a pile of dirt and broken wood. My left arm hurt badly. I think I had broken something, but I was alive. 30 seconds left on the timer. I got up and ran. My arm screamed at me. With every step, I did not care. I ran toward the camp as fast as my legs would carry me. I could hear the walker behind me turning around looking for me. Its cannon was charging up again. The red light on its body was getting brighter. 10 seconds left. I dove behind a broken wall just as the explosives went off. The sound was the biggest thing I had ever heard. A wave of hot air hit me and pushed me another 20 steps along the ground. Pieces of metal flew through the air like birds. I covered my head with my good arm and waited. The light was so bright I could see it through my closed eyes, even through my arm. When the heat finally stopped, I looked up. The walker was gone. Where it had stood, there was only a crater and a pile of broken metal. The fire was so big it lit up the whole city. I could see it reflected in the faces of the coalition soldiers at the camp, who were all staring at what I had done. Their mouths were open. No one spoke. No one moved. Then Zethka ran out from behind a wall and sprinted toward me. Lumi was right behind him, her light blazing brighter than I had ever seen. They reached me and dropped to their knees beside me. "You are alive," Lumi said. Her voice was shaking. "You are alive." "Just barely," I said. "I think my arm is broken." Zethka laughed. It was a strange sound, coming from a blue alien with 4 arms. But it was a happy sound. He reached out and put one of his hands on my shoulder. "You climbed it," he said. "You actually climbed it. No one would believe me if I told them." "They will believe you," I said, "because they are going to see what we do next." I tried to sit up, but the pain in my arm was too much. Lumi pushed me back, down gently, and began to work. Her light flowed over my arm, and I felt Clear's throat, the pain start to fade. She was a good medic, one of the best I had ever seen. The little Ilthari people had a special power to heal wounds with their glow, and she was using all of hers on me now. While she worked, I looked back at the camp. The few Varks drones that had been attacking were now stopping. They were not moving. Their red eyes were flickering. Some of them had fallen over still and dead. I understood what was happening. The walker had been connected to the other machines through the big Vyark's mind. When it went down, it hurt the mind for a moment. The drones were confused. They were not getting their orders. Now I shouted to the camp, "Finish them now." The coalition soldiers came out from behind their walls. They ran toward the drones and began to shoot them while they were still confused. One by one, the enemy machines fell. Within 10 minutes, the battle was over. The city was ours again, or what was left of it. The green officer walked over to where I was lying. He looked at me for a long time without speaking. His face was hard to read. Finally he spoke. "In my whole life," he said, "I have never seen anything like what you did tonight." I shrugged with my good arm. "Back home, this is just called Tuesday." Zethka laughed again. Lumi did not understand the joke, but she smiled anyway. The green officer shook his head slowly. "When my bosses hear about this," he said, "they will not believe me either." "Tell them anyway," I said. "Tell them humans are not myths. Tell them we are soldiers, and tell them we are just getting started." He nodded and walked away. I watched him go. In the distance, the sun was starting to come up. A new day on Hesari 9. The first day of the real fight. Lumi finished healing my arm. I sat up carefully. It still hurt, but I could use it now. I could hold a rifle. I could climb another monster if I had to. And I had a feeling I would have to, because the Vyaks were not done. One walker down meant nothing to them. They had thousands more, and when they realized what had happened here, they would not send small attack teams anymore. They would send everything they had. They would send their biggest weapons, the ones from the old stories, the ones that had almost ended Earth 2,000 years ago. I looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, the hope of Welter was still in orbit, still fighting. Somewhere beyond that, the coalition fleet was moving toward us, hoping to help, and somewhere beyond that, Earth was watching, waiting to see what I would do next. I got to my feet. My squad stood up beside me, Zethka with his 4 arms, Lumi with her glowing skin, and me, human with a broken arm that was not broken anymore. 3 soldiers who had come through night. Nobody thought we would survive. And now we had to get ready for what was coming next. "Come on," I said. "We have work to do." We began to walk back toward the camp. Together, the coalition soldiers watched us as we came. They did not say anything. They did not need to. The look in their eyes said it all. They were not afraid anymore. They had seen what a human could do, and now they wanted to learn how to do it too. That was when I understood something. I had not come to HFY 9 just to fight. I had come to teach, to show these brave soldiers from every world how humans fought and why we won. To turn them into something more than they had been, to turn them into what the galaxy needed them to be. The war was far from over, but for the first time, I believed we could win it. I believed we would. 2 days later, the reinforcements arrived. They were not what I expected. They were not what anyone expected. I was standing on what was left of the camp wall when the ships came through the clouds. Everyone in the camp looked up, thinking it was another coalition fleet, but the shapes were different. They were smaller, sharper, and they moved in straight lines instead of the soft curves that coalition ships used. My heart jumped when I saw them. I knew those shapes. I had trained on ships like those back home. Earth had come. Only 3 ships, but 3 ships from Earth were worth more than 30 from anywhere else. They landed in a clear field near the camp, their engines blowing up clouds of dust. The doors opened and soldiers began to march out. Not aliens, humans, 200 of them, all in full combat armor, all carrying the kind of weapons the coalition had never seen before. At the front of them walked a tall woman with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. Her name was Asham Mendel, and she was a colonel. I had served under her once years ago in a small war on one of the outer Earth colonies. She was the best officer I had ever known. She was also the hardest. She did not smile, she did not joke, she did her job. And she expected everyone around her to do theirs. When she walked, soldiers snapped to attention without being told. I jumped down from the wall and ran to meet her. She saw me coming and gave me a small nod. That was the warmest greeting she ever gave anyone. "Sergeant Vore," she said, "I heard you took down a heavy walker by yourself." "Not by myself, ma'am. My squad helped." She looked over my shoulder at Zethka and Lumi, who were standing a short way behind me. Her eyes studied them for a long moment, then she looked back at me. "Good," she said. "We are going to need them." She walked past me toward the green officer who was waiting to greet her. I turned to my squad. Zethka looked nervous. Lumi looked curious. 200, Zethka said quietly. "Only 200 of them. Is that enough?" "It is more than enough," I said. "How can you be sure?" "Because you have not seen humans fight in large numbers yet. You have only seen me. Wait until you see 200 of us working together." Lumi tilted her head. "Is it really that different?" I smiled. "You will see, trust me." Colonel Mendel called all the officers to a meeting that evening. I was invited because I had been on the ground longest. We gathered in a half-broken building in the middle of the camp. Green officer was there, so were leaders from the other coalition units. And Colonel Mendel stood at the front with a small handheld map that showed the whole region. She did not waste time with small talk. She never did. "The VX are gathering," she said. "Our ships detected large movements on 3 other planets in this area. They are pulling back from smaller worlds and coming together here. They know something changed when that walker went down. They want to know what. They also want revenge." The green officer looked worried. How big of a force are they bringing? Big, the colonel said. Ships ground. Units, heavy walkers, and something else. She touched the map and a new image appeared. It was a picture of something huge, not just a walker, something 10 times bigger, a machine the size of a small city shaped like a flat disk with towers on top. I had seen this before. Every human had. It was in all our history books. A harbinger, I said. Every head in the room turned toward me. Colonel Mendel nodded. Yes, a harbinger, the same kind of machine that ended the old Earth 2,000 years ago. They are bringing one to this world. They think it will be enough to crush us. The room went quiet, even the alien officers who had not lived through the old war could tell this was bad news. They did not know what a harbinger was, but the way the colonel said it was enough to make them afraid. Can we fight it? The green officer asked. Yes, the colonel said, but not by hiding behind walls. We have to go to it. We have to meet it in the open. That sounds like a fast way to die, one of the alien officers said. Colonel Mendel looked at him. It is how we won the war 2,000 years ago. We are going to do it the same way again. She then explained her plan. It was bold. It was almost insane, but I could see from her face that she believed it would work, and if she believed, then so did I. The plan was simple in words, but hard in action. The Vierk's forces were coming to a wide, flat valley about 1 day's march from our camp. The valley was ringed by hills on 3 sides, with the 4th side open to the sky. Our human soldiers would spread across the hills and set up in hidden positions. Coalition troops would form the main line at the bottom of the valley, acting like bait. When the Vierks attacked the bait, the humans in the hills would come down from behind and catch them in the middle. The harbinger would be the last problem, and we would deal with it when the time came. One of the alien officers raised his hand. Colonel, your coalition troops will be bait. You are saying our people will be the ones getting hit first? Yes, the colonel said. There is no easy way, but here is the key. We have something your armies have never had before. We have human training. Starting tomorrow at dawn, every coalition soldier in this camp will train under a human officer for 1 full day. They will learn what we learned. They will learn how we think, and when the battle comes, they will fight like we fight. There were grumbles at this. Some of the alien officers did not like being told what to do, but they also knew that they had no better ideas. Their own plans had failed so far. Everyone in that room had seen friends die. They were ready to try something new. 1 day of training is not much, another officer said. It is enough, the colonel answered. It has to be. It is all we have. The meeting ended, and the officers went back to their units. I walked out with Colonel Mendel. Outside, the sun was setting, turning the sky red and orange. She stopped and looked at it for a moment. You have changed since I last saw you, she said. You carry yourself differently. I have seen things, my AM. We all have, Sergeant, but you are about to see more. I want you as the lead training officer. Your unit has already been in the fight. They know what to expect. Their success will help the others believe. I nodded. Yes, my AM. She turned to look at me. Do not let them down, Vor. I will not. She walked away, and I went to find my Squad, Zethka and Lumi were sitting near a small fire, eating ration packs. I sat down next to them. They looked up at me, waiting. Tomorrow, I said, we start training. The rest of the coalition troops, you two, will be my helpers. Us, Lumi said, but we are not trainers. You have been in my squad for 2 battles now, I said. You have seen how we fight. You know more than the others. That is enough. Zethka looked at the fire. His face was thinking hard. After a long moment he spoke. Kalen, he said, when I joined the coalition forces, I was told humans were dangerous, that we should be careful around them, that they were not like us. I did not understand what that meant. Not really, until I fought with you. I waited. He was not finished. You scare me, he said, not in a bad way. You scare me because you do not think like I do. You do not feel fear. The same way, when a drone comes at you, you see a puzzle to solve. When I see a drone, I see my own end, but then I watch you and I see you solving the puzzle, and I realize that maybe I can solve it too. Maybe I can be more than what I thought I was. I thought about his words. They were the kindest thing anyone had said to me in a long time. You already are more, I told him. Both of you are. The people you were 3 days ago could not have done what you did last night. And the people you become 3 days from now will do things that would amaze the people you are. Right now, that is what a soldier is. Someone who keeps growing, no matter how hard it gets. Lumi reached out and put her small, glowing hand on my arm. Her light was warm and soft. Thank you, she said quietly. We sat there together for a while, watching the fire. In the distance I could hear the sounds of the camp, preparing for war, trucks moving, soldiers talking, the clank of weapons being checked, and far beyond that I could almost hear the Veer's army gathering, getting ready to come and end us. But we were going to surprise them. We were going to do what they never expected. We were going to become something new, something they did not have in their data, something they could not predict. That night I slept for 4 hours. I dreamed of my grandfather. In the dream, he was standing in a field with a rifle over his shoulder looking at me. He did not say anything. He just nodded once, the way he used to when I got something right. Then he walked away and I woke up. The morning was cold. I got up, put on my armor, and went to find Colonel Mendel. She was already at the training field with the other human officers. We the alien troops into groups of 20. And each group got 1 human trainer. I got a group that included Zethka and Lumi and 30 others from different worlds. Some of them had never held a human weapon before. Some had never fired any weapon at all before the war began. I started with the basics. How to hold a rifle, how to move with it, how to breathe before a shot, how to pick your target. Simple things, but I said them clearly and slowly, and I made every soldier practice each one 10 times before moving on. Then I taught them something more important, how to think in a battle. The enemy is not smart, I told them. The enemy is strong but not smart. They do the same things again and again. They attack in lines. They use the same weapons the same way. That is how they lose, because soldiers who think can always beat soldiers who do not think. Zethka raised a hand. How do we think when the fear is so big? That was the right question. I had been waiting for it. You think by doing, I told them. When The fear comes, you do not stop to feel it. You move, you act. You do the thing you train to do. Every time you train, you write a path in your mind. When the battle comes, your body follows the path. Even if your mind is afraid, that is why we train, not to stop being afraid, but to be able to act while we are afraid. I saw understanding in their faces, slow at first, then all at once, they began to get it. For the rest of the morning, I drilled them over and over until they new paths started to form in their heads. By afternoon, they were moving together. By evening, they were thinking together. They still were not human soldiers, but they were closer than they had been at dawn. As the sun went down on that training day, Colonel Mendel walked by my group. She watched them practice for a few minutes without speaking. Then she looked at me and gave me a small nod. It was the best thing she could have given me, and I had never been more proud. Tomorrow we would march to the valley. Tomorrow we would face the harbinger. Tomorrow I would find out if one day of training was truly enough. But tonight I had done my job. My soldiers were ready, or as ready as they would ever be. The fire was warm, the stars were coming out, and somewhere beyond the hills the enemy was coming. We left the camp at dawn and marched through dust all day. The valley was exactly as the map had shown it, wide, flat, ringed by hills. From the top of the tallest hill I could see for miles. In every direction, the Vyerks would be coming from the east. We had maybe 6 hours before they arrived. Colonel Mendel set up her command on the middle hill. The human soldiers spread out across the other hills, finding hidden positions behind rocks and trees. The coalition troops formed up in the valley below, looking small and thin against the huge open space. I knew how they felt. I had been bait before. It is the worst job in any battle. You stand in the open and wait for the enemy to come for you, knowing you might not live to see the trap close. My squad was with me on the north hill. Zethka had chosen a position between 2 large rocks where he could see the whole valley. Lumi had set up a small medical station just below us, hidden in a group of trees. Other human soldiers were spread out along the hillside, each in a good spot, each with clear lines of fire. I checked my rifle one more time. I checked my explosives. I checked my small knife. I did this not because I thought anything would be wrong, but because it kept my hands busy while we waited. Waiting is the hardest part of any battle. Zethka crawled over to me. His 4 arms were each holding a different tool. He looked like a nervous spider. Kalen, he said, I need to ask you something before the battle. Ask. If I die today, will you tell my family I was brave? I looked at him for a long time. His big black eyes were wet. I could see he was thinking about his people back home, the ones he might never see again. I understood that look. Every soldier knows it. You are not going to die today, I told him. You do not know that. I do know it because I am going to be here and I will not let it happen, and neither will you. We have trained. We have a plan. We are going to make it through. All of us, say it with me. He swallowed. We are going to make it through. Say it like you mean it. We are going to make it through. Good. Now stop thinking about dying and start thinking about what you will do. When we win, you owe me a drink from your home world. I have heard stories about Dravik's drinks. That got a small laugh from him. The tightness in his face loosened a little. He crawled back to his position between the rocks. The hours passed slowly, then just before midday we saw them. They came like a black river over the edge of the horizon, thousands of drones, walking in lines. Behind them heavy walkers, 10 of them, maybe more, and behind them all, moving slowly but steadily, the harbinger. From this far away, it looked like a small building on legs. Up close, I knew it would block out the sky. Colonel Mendel's voice came over the radio. All units hold, let them into the valley. Do not fire until I give the order. Repeat, do not fire. The Vurax force reached the edge of the valley and began to pour in. The drones moved first, fast and confident. They saw the coalition troops at the far end of the valley and began to march toward them. And GT snorts. And GT, the heavy walkers followed. The harbinger stopped at the edge of the valley, too big to enter fully. Its weapons were pointing forward, ready to fire on anything the drones could not handle. The coalition troops stood their ground. I could only imagine how they felt down there. They were looking at more enemies than they had ever seen in one place. One part of their brains must have been screaming to run, but they did not run. They stayed in their lines. They held their weapons ready. They waited for the trap to spring. Come on, I whispered. Hold, hold. The drones got closer. 500 steps, 400, 300, and then when they were right in the middle of the valley with their backs now turned partly toward our hills, Colonel Mendel gave the order. All units, she said, fire. 200 human rifles opened up at once from the hills. The sound was like thunder rolling across the valley. Red energy flashed through the air. The first line of drones fell in one single wave. The ones behind them turned around, confused, trying to understand where the fire was coming from. That confusion cost them. Another wave of shots tore into them before they could react. The coalition troops in the valley opened fire too. Now the drones were caught between two forces. They began to break apart, some running toward the hills, some toward the coalition line, some just standing still, not knowing what to do. The great Vurax mind was failing. It had not prepared for this. It did not know how to answer it. I fired shot after shot from my position. On the north hill, I counted hits. Without thinking, 12, 15, 20 each time. A drone fell. The pressure on our troops got a little lighter. Each time a drone fell, the ones around it got a little more confused. But then the heavy walkers began to move. They turned toward our hills and started firing. Their blasts hit the hillside, sending rocks and dirt into the air. One snort's walker's shot blew apart the rocks next to Zethka. I saw him get thrown back. My heart jumped. But he rolled over and gave me a thumbs up. He was fine, just shaken. Colonel Mendel, I called on my radio. The walkers are coming up the hills. We need to deal with them. I know, she answered. Alpha Team. Move out, take them down. Alpha Team was a group of 20 human soldiers trained for exactly this. They carried heavy weapons built to cut through walker armor. I watched them leave their positions and run down the hill toward the walkers. It was a brave thing to do. The walkers had cannons that could kill a man with a single hit. But these 20 soldiers did not hesitate. They moved in pairs, covering each other, using the ground and the trees. The walkers began to fall one by one. Each one took time. Each one cost lives. I saw 2 humans get hit. One of them Did not get back up, but the walkers kept falling, 6, 7, 8 until only 2 were left. The last 2 walkers turned and began to retreat back toward the Harbinger. But the Harbinger had decided it was time. Its great cannons began to glow. It was going to end the battle with one huge attack. A blast from a Harbinger cannon could flatten half the valley. We all knew this. We had all read the old stories. Colonel Mendel's voice was calm on the radio. "Kalen, your turn." I had been waiting for this. I grabbed my bag of explosives. These were bigger than the ones I had used on the walker 2 nights before. Colonel Mendel had brought them from Earth, built for one purpose: to bring down a Harbinger. Zeth Guy called Lumi with me. They came without question. Zeth Guy picked up a second bag of explosives. Lumi had her medical supplies, ready to patch anyone who got hurt along the way. The 3 of us started down the back of the hill, out of sight of the Harbinger, making our way around to the east side, where the great machine was stopped. This was the part of the plan that almost no one had agreed with: sending a small team to plant bombs on a Harbinger seemed insane. But the colonel had argued that the big machine's cannons could not aim down close to its own body. If we could get under it, we could place our charges on its legs and bring it down. It was the same trick I had used on the walker, just bigger. We moved through the broken ground for 20 minutes, staying low, staying quiet. The sounds of the battle were all around us: distant rifle fire, the crash of walker cannons, human voices shouting orders, alien voices shouting back in languages I did not know. Then we came over a small rise, and there it was, the Harbinger. Up close it was even bigger than I had thought. Its legs were as thick as buildings. The space under its body was like a cave, and there in the shadows were the power junctions that held the whole machine up. 3 of them, Zethkai whispered. "We have bombs for all 3. "Good," I said. "You take the left leg. Lumi, you stay at the edge of the cave with your medical bag. I will take the middle and right legs. We place the bombs, set them for 3 minutes, and run." "Understood." They both nodded. We separated. I ran to the middle leg first. The ground under the Harbinger was strange. The great machine was giving off heat, and the air was hot and hard to breathe. My skin began to sweat under my armor. I reached the leg, opened the junction box, and placed the first bomb inside. I set the timer for 3 minutes and closed the box. 1 down. I ran to the right leg. Zethka was already at the left, and I could see him working fast, his forearms a blur. He was going to be faster than me. I pushed myself harder. The right leg was further away than I thought. By the time I reached it, I could hear the Harbinger above me making strange sounds, clicks, deep pulses. The great machine knew something was wrong. A side hatch on the right leg opened, and 3 small Virux drones dropped out. They were the maintenance type, smaller and faster than the battle drones. They saw me right away. They started running. "Zethka," I shouted, "finish it." I raised my rifle and fired. The first drone went down. The second one dodged and kept coming. The third one split off, going toward Lumi at the edge of the cave. I fired at the second one again, and it fell, but the third one was already close to Lumi. I saw her eyes get big. I saw her light go bright with fear. Then something amazing happened. Lumi did not run. She did not freeze. She reached into her medical bag, pulled out a small tool, and threw it right at the drone's eye. The tool was sharp, one she used for small operations. It stuck right in the drone's red eye. Machine staggered. Lumi grabbed her medical laser, which was meant for closing small wounds, and fired it straight into the broken eye. The drone fell smoking. She had just killed a VX drone with her medical tools. No time to think about it. I ran to the right leg, opened the box, set the bomb. 3 minutes, Zethka was already running toward me, his bomb planted. We met at Lumi's position, and all three of us started sprinting away from the Harbinger. 2 and 1 2 minutes. We ran until we reached a small rise. About 400 steps away, we dropped behind it, breathing hard. My legs were on fire. My lungs were on fire, but we had done it. All 3 bombs placed. Now we just had to wait. Above us, the Harbinger was starting to figure out what had happened. Its great body was rotating. Hatches were opening. More drones were dropping out, but they were too late. The countdown was running. There was no way for the great machine to find all 3 bombs in time. 2 minutes. Then I felt the ground shake. It was a different kind of shake, not from the Harbinger, something else. I turned my head and looked behind us, and my blood went cold. The 2 walkers that had tried to retreat, the last 2 they had circled around, they were coming up behind us. They had seen us running, and they were charging right at our position. Zethka saw them too. His forearms started shaking. Kalen, he said, we cannot outrun them. We did not need to outrun them. We just needed to stay alive for 2 more minutes. But how? I looked at the ground around us. Rocks, dirt, a few broken trees, no cover big enough to hide behind. The walkers were 400 steps away. They would reach us in less than a minute. Then I had an idea, a terrible idea, but the only one I had. Lumi, I said, your light, how bright can you make it? She looked at me confused. Very bright, but only for a few seconds. It will hurt me to do it. Will it blind them, the walkers? Her eyes got wide. Yes, it could. Walkers see with red eyes. A bright enough flash could confuse them. Do it now, when they get within 100 steps. She nodded. We waited. The walkers got closer. 300 steps, 200, 100. Now, Lumi closed her small eyes and pulled on every bit of light she had. Her whole body began to glow, first yellow, then white, then a white so bright I had to look away. A flash of light burst out from her like a small sun. The walkers staggered. Their red eyes flickered. They stopped moving, turning their heads back and forth, confused. Lumi collapsed onto the ground. Zethka grabbed her. I grabbed him. We pulled her behind a rock. Her light was almost gone now. Her skin was gray. She had used everything she had. Hold on, I told her. Just hold on. 10 more seconds. 10 seconds passed like 10 hours. The walkers were starting to recover. Their eyes were getting bright again. They would see us in a moment. They would fire. And then the bombs went off. The 3 explosions were huge. The Harbinger's legs broke in 3 places. At once, the great machine tilted, swayed, and then began to fall. Its massive body crashed down onto the ground with a sound like the end of the world. It fell forward right on top of the 2 walkers. They were crushed under its weight, gone, done. The Harbinger was dead. Zethka and I stared at it for a long moment. And GT snorts. and GT. We could not believe what we had just done. Then Lumi made a small sound and I remembered she was hurt. I looked down at her. Her light was almost out. Her skin was gray. Her breathing was weak. Zethka, I said, we have to get her back to the camp now. He picked her up in two of his arms. I grabbed our gear with one hand. We began to run back toward the coalition lines. As fast as we could, my radio was going crazy with voices. Colonel Mendel, other human officers, coalition leaders, they were all shouting at once. I could not make sense of any of it. I just kept running. By the time we reached the coalition lines, the battle was over. Without the Harbinger, without the walkers, the Virk's drones had lost their will. They had tried to retreat, but the coalition troops had cut them down. The valley floor was covered in broken machines. Human and coalition soldiers were walking among them, finishing off the ones that still moved. We had won. But as I looked down at Lumi and Zethka's arms, I was not thinking about winning. I was thinking about the small glowing soldier who had saved my life with her courage, and I was begging her silently not to die. Lumi did not die. It took 3 days of healing, but she pulled through. Her people were strong. When I visited her on the second day, her light was coming back, a soft blue glow that went from her chest to her fingers. She was sitting up in her medical bed, eating a bowl of something that looked like soup. She smiled when she saw me. You look worse than I do, she said. I had not slept much. I had been at her side as often as I could between meetings with Colonel Mendel and the coalition officers. My hair was messy. My uniform was wrinkled. I probably did look bad. Just making sure you stayed alive, I told her. Well, I am alive, so you can go get some sleep. Not yet. There is still work to do. I sat down next to her bed and told her about everything that had happened since the battle. The coalition command had given us a full victory citation. 3 other planets that had been under Vayek's attack were now free because the loss of the Harbinger had made the great Vayek's mind pull back to regroup. For the first time in the whole war, the enemy was in retreat. Lumi listened quietly when I finished. She was silent for a long moment. So we won, she said. We won this one, I said, but the war is not over. The Vayeks will come back. They always do. They are trying to understand what happened here. They are studying us now. When they come back, they will be ready for the things we did this time. Then we will do new things. I smiled. Yes, we will. She reached out and took my hand. Her small fingers were warm. Kaelin, she said, I want to tell you something. I waited. Before I met you, I was not a fighter. I was a healer. I joined the coalition army because I wanted to help people who were hurt. I never thought I would throw a knife at a Vayek's drone. I never thought I would burn myself out to blind a walker. I did not know I could do those things. You did not know, I said, but now you do. Yes, and I want to keep learning. I want to learn more from you, from the other humans. I want to be someone who can fight when fighting is needed and heal when healing is needed. I want to be both. I nodded slowly. That is a good thing too. Want? She looked at the ceiling. Do you think my people will understand? They do not love fighting. They think it is sad. They will not be happy that I have chosen this path. I thought about this for a while. I Thought about my own family back on Earth who had sent me into the galaxy to fight and perhaps not come home. I thought about what it meant to be a soldier among people who believed in peace. Your people will love you, I said, maybe. They will not understand at first, but they will see that you are still you. You still care, you still heal, you are just choosing to protect the people you heal too. That is not a bad choice. That is a big choice, a brave one. She smiled at me. It was a small smile, but a real one. I left her room and went to find Zethka. He was in the repair bay working on a broken piece of coalition equipment. When I walked in, he looked up and waved with 2 of his 4 arms. Kalen, you came. Good, I wanted to show you something. He held up a small device. It looked like a round metal ball with buttons on it. What is it? It is something I made based on what I learned from watching the human soldiers fight. It is a small distraction drone. You throw it and it flies in a random path and makes noise. It pulls Virk's attention for about 30 seconds, I think. It will help our teams get close to enemy positions. I looked at the device in wonder. You built this yourself in 2 days. I laughed. You know what, Zethka? You are going to be a better engineer than anyone on Earth in about 10 years. He looked proud. That is the plan, but Kalen, I need to ask you something. He put the device down and turned to face me fully. His black eyes were serious. I want to move to Earth, he said, for training. I have spoken with the Coalition Command. They say if a human unit will take me, I can go. I have already applied, but I need a human to vouch for me, a human who knows I am ready. I was surprised. Move to Earth. Yes, I have learned so much from you in just days. Imagine what I could learn in years. Imagine what I could bring back to my people if I go to Earth and study there. When I come back, I will be something new. I will be a Dravex human or something like that. I do not have a word for it yet. I thought about this. Earth had never had a student from off-world before. The idea was strange, but maybe it was time. I will speak for you, I said. I will write a letter to my training command. I will tell them you are worth it. His face lit up in a way I had never seen before. Thank you, Kalen. Thank you. Do not thank me. You did the work. I just said the true things about you. He hugged me with all 4 arms. I was not used to being hugged, but I let him do it. It seemed important to him. Later that day, I walked through the camp alone, thinking the coalition troops were rebuilding, repairs were happening everywhere. I saw human trainers working with small groups of alien soldiers, teaching them more of what I had taught on that first day. The work was continuing. It would never stop. Commander Oren, the tall gray alien who had been my first officer on the ship, found me near the edge of the camp. He was watching the sunset. He nodded to me when I came up. Sergeant, he said, do you have a moment? Of course, sir. I have been thinking about something since the battle. Yes, sir. He looked at the sky for a long time before he spoke again. My people, the Crescent, we have a very old belief. We believe that a soldier who takes a life takes a piece of his own soul with it. We believe it is the saddest thing a person can do. Many of us do not join the military because of this belief. I joined only because I thought I could be a commander, someone who gives orders but does not have to pull the trigger. I listened quietly. But during the battle, he said, I picked up a rifle one of my own soldiers had fallen and the enemy was very close. I picked up his rifle and I fired it. I killed a drone and then I fired again. And again. He stopped. His voice was shaking a little. I was taught all my life that this would destroy me, that I would lose my soul. But I feel no different, Kalen. I feel like the same person I was before. I do not understand. I thought carefully before I answered. This was a big thing for him. I did not want to get it wrong. Sir, I said, I do not know your beliefs well enough to tell you if they are right or wrong, but I can tell you what humans believe. We believe that a soldier is not judged by the act of fighting. A soldier is judged by the reason. If you fight to protect the helpless, if you fight to save your people, if you fight so that more will not die, then the fighting does not take your soul. It proved your soul is strong. He was quiet. You did not pick up that rifle for fun, I said. You did not fire because you wanted to. You fired because your soldiers needed you to. That is not a dark thing. That is a bright thing. Sir, he at me then, and I saw tears in his eyes. Crescent tears were silver. They caught the sunset light as they fell. Thank you, he said simply. You are welcome, sir. He turned and walked back toward the camp. I watched him go. I wondered how many more like him would have to make that journey, how many peaceful people in the galaxy would have to learn to fight just to survive what was coming. Maybe all of them, maybe for a long time. 2 weeks later, the coalition held a great ceremony at a major base on one of the central planets. I was called there along with Colonel Mendel and the other human officers. The coalition leadership wanted to thank us in a formal way. Diplomats from dozens of worlds were going to be there. It was going to be a big event. I hate ceremonies. Most soldiers do, but you go because your leaders tell you to, and because it matters to other people, even when it does not matter to you. The ceremony was held in a huge round hall with seats for thousands, flags hung from the ceiling, one for every member species of the coalition. Earth's flag was there too for the first time in 2,000 years. I saw it when I walked in, and I stopped for a moment just to look at it. The main speaker was the head of the Coalition Council, a tall being with silver skin and 6 eyes. She spoke about the battle at HFY 9. She spoke about the fall of the Harbinger. She spoke about what it meant for the war, and then she spoke about Earth. For 2,000 years, she said, we believed humanity was gone. We told children stories about them, about what they had been in the old days. We remembered them as myths. We remembered them as heroes who were too great to be real. Then our scouts found again, alive, change still strong, and we did not know what to think. I thought, she continued, that we would need to be careful, that we would need to guide them into our ways, that they would have forgotten how to be part of a peaceful galaxy. I was wrong. The truth is, humanity has not needed our guidance. It is we who have needed theirs in the dark time that has come, when we thought we might lose everything. To the Verax's return, it was the soldiers of Earth who showed us the way, not by fighting for us, by teaching us to fight for ourselves. She paused. The great hall was silent. Today, she said, we honor the soldiers who gave us back our hope. We honor the ones who climbed the walkers with ropes. We honor the ones who flashed their light to blind the enemy. We honor the ones who stood in the open valley while the harbinger cannons charged. We honor the ones who lived and the ones who did not. And most of all, we honor the people who remembered, the people who kept the old knowledge through 2,000 years of silence, the people who never forgot what the Vurex were and never forgot how to fight them. We thought we were meeting ghosts. We have met teachers, and we are grateful. She turned to where the human officers were seated and she bowed her head. It was a gesture of deep respect among her people. Colonel Mendel stood up and bowed back. I did too. After the ceremony there was food and talking. I tried to stay at the edge of the crowd, but Zethka found me and pulled me into the middle. He wanted me to meet people his family had come for the ceremony all the way from the Dravek's homeworld. His parents were even bigger than he was, with 6 arms each. His mother hugged me hard enough that I thought my ribs might crack. You saved our son, she said. We thank you. We thank you forever. He saved himself, I told her, and he saved me too more than once. Your son is a good soldier. She smiled, showing many small teeth. I was not sure if that was a friendly smile or a scary one. I smiled back and hoped for the best. Lumi came by too. She was out of the hospital now, back on her feet, though a little thinner than before. Her light was a strong blue glow again. Her own family was there, small, quiet creatures who were kind to me, but who clearly did not know what to say. I understood. Their daughter had become something they did not recognize. That was a hard thing for any parent. I spoke to Lumi's father for a few minutes. I told him that his daughter had the biggest heart of any soldier. I knew that she had saved many lives, that she was becoming something the galaxy needed. He listened and nodded. He did not smile, but before he walked away, he put his small hand on my arm and said, "Take care of her, please." "I will," I promised. Late that night, after the crowd had gone, I stood on a balcony outside the great hall. I could see the whole city. From up there, the lights were bright. The air was warm. Somewhere far above, stars were shining, and on one of those stars, a small blue planet was waiting. My home, Earth. Cardinal Mendel joined me. She was holding 2 drinks. She gave one to me. "To the ones who did not make it," she said, raising her glass. "To the ones who did not make it," I answered, raising mine. We drank in silence. "What happens now, Ma Ayam?" I asked. "After a while, the war continues. We will have more battles, more planets will need our help, more humans will be sent into the dark, more coalition soldiers will be trained. Will it ever end?" She thought about this for a long time. "It will end," she said finally, "but not the way wars usually end, not with a big battle and a treaty. It will end when the enemy understands that we are not the galaxy they invaded 2,000 years ago. That galaxy was afraid. That galaxy was weak. This galaxy has humans in it now. And humans have friends." She took another drink. "The Virok will come back," she said. "More than once. Harder each time, but every time they come, we will beat them. And every time we beat them, the coalition will grow stronger, the way Zethka is stronger, the way Lumi is stronger, the way Orin is stronger, one by one, world by world, until the whole galaxy is ready, until there is nothing the Virok can do that will work anymore. And then the war ends." I nodded. "How long?" "Maybe 100 years, maybe more." I took a deep breath. 100 years I would not be alive to see it, but my children might, or my children's children. That was something. I will do my part, ma'am. I know you will, Sergeant. We stood there for a while longer. Looking out at the lights, I thought about my grandfather. I thought about the war he had trained me for without knowing it. The war that was now mine to fight. I thought about all the human soldiers before me who had done that same, going back 2,000 years and more. Each one carrying the same knowledge forward, each one handing it to the next, each one never forgetting. They had remembered us as myths. Now we were something else. We were soldiers, we were teachers, we were the ones who showed up when things got bad. We were the ones who did not leave until the job was done. I finished my drink. I put the empty glass on the railing. Colonel Mendel did the same. Together we walked back inside. Tomorrow we would leave for a new planet, a new fight, a new chapter. The war would not wait, neither would I. The galaxy had needed heroes. Earth had sent soldiers instead, and soldiers, I knew, were far more useful than heroes ever were. Heroes are born, soldiers are made. And we had been made for exactly this.